Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. 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 As much as I hate to admit it, summer is coming to an end. It is August the 22nd as I am filming this video. So my mind is going towards fall for everything as far as fall colors, fall fragrances, fall candles, and fall makeup. Today I decided to kind of go through my collection and pull out some eyeshadow palettes that reminded me of fall, and I picked out like the top 10 in my collection that I thought reminded me a lot of fall. Some of them are new, some of them are discontinued, some of them we hope will come back but we are not sure. But I just pulled out 10 palettes that reminded me of fall and that I am kind of ready to transition to. So we're going to get started. The first one I am going to pull out is actually discontinued. I think it has been re-released a couple of times and then they finally did the final release and it is no longer available, so I am sorry. I am not sure if you can get it on Mercari or something like that, but it is from Colored Rain and it is the Safari Rain palette and it looks like this. And the first thing that jumps out at me is those greens, the orangey gold shades right here. This palette definitely looks like a transition from green to orange to yellow to brown for the fall leaves. So this is actually one of my favorite palettes to pull out for fall. The next one that I'm going to pull out is relatively new. I picked it up from boxycharm maybe a couple of months ago, and it is the Pinky Rose Cosmetics Sunflower palette. And the first thing that reminds me of fall is the actual packaging. The yellow, orange, and the greens and all of that remind me of fall. I don't know if a sunflower is a fall flower, I am not sure, but this is what the inside of the palette looks like. So this one even goes into your purples also, which I think of as a fall color. Plus you have a little bit of a pop of color here, but very, very pretty and fall appropriate. The next one I am going to pull out is, and I think this one is still available. A lot of times you can get these for I think like $6 on boxycharm. I think that's what I paid for it. Or you can go to pinkyrosecosmetics.com and pick it up. The next one I am going to show you is from Colourpop, and this one came as part of a trio of 9-pan palettes, but this out of all three of them reminds me the most of fall, and this is the Ornate palette. And just like the other one with the packaging even reminds you of falls with the burgundies and the oranges and golds and stuff like that. And then you pull it, open it up, and that is what the shadows look like on the inside. Your golds, your sort of rust colors, your browns, some oranges, this color right here, that color, I don't know what to call it, but I can just see that on my lid for the fall. So that is the Ornate palette. The next two that I am going to show you actually have been discontinued, so I apologize in advance. The first one came out last year, so it's like Halloween 2020, and it is also from Colourpop, and it is called the Gather Round Sisters palette. It's like the Colourpop X Hocus Pocus, and that is what the packaging looks like. And this one has been re-released a couple of times that I know of. I know I heard somebody on here, I was watching somebody's video and they were saying that they didn't think that people really like this palette, and I beg to differ because this palette sold out quite a few times and got re-released a few times. So I think it was actually really popular and people are actually still wanting this palette. but the packaging is super cute. So this is the outer box, and I am not throwing this away because it is just like really nice. But this is like your little silhouette of your sisters from Hocus Pocus. And this is the, well, these are your sisters again. But this is what the palette looks like, and you can see these greens right here, definitely calling the burgundies and sort of Bordeaux type of colors calling. You have your browns, so really, really pretty. To me, it's not so much of a Halloween palette as it is a fall palette, but I hope it comes out again. I hope that they release this palette again, so those of us who missed out on it are able to pick it up. They might be on to bigger and better things, knowing, not necessarily better things, because this one was nice, but knowing Colourpop, I just don't feel like they're going to re-release it, even though I wish they would. Alright, so this next one is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This was a very controversial palette, and if you know what I mean by controversial, you know the palette that I am talking about. It is the Subculture palette. I think this one is also no longer available. A lot of people, when this palette first came out, had issues with it. You have your yellows, your greens, your browns, your sort of orangey coppery shades, and really, really fall appropriate. But a lot of people had issues with this palette, and a lot of people were like digging into the shades until they were like gone, saying how loosely packed they were. Some people had problems because they were pressed pigments or whatever it was, but I have not had a problem with this palette. Whenever I have used it, I actually really like it, and I really think that this is a fall appropriate palette. The next one that I am going to show you is pretty new. It's from BH Cosmetics. It sort of came out, I feel like I have hair on my lip. It sort of came out, it came out this past summer. This is like a month or two ago. And it's one of the palettes from the Travel series, but the colors in it to me just still scream fall. And this is the, they call this Party in Puerto Rico palette. So that is what that looks like. And these are the colors on the inside, whether, even though they to me look like, yeah, I can use them now and get away with them, you still have your oranges and your golds and some deep browns and everything that remind me of fall. And I think you could get a nice fall look out of this, as well as a nice sort of sunset look out of this. So I put this in here because I thought a lot of the colors were rich enough for fall. Alright, so the next palette that I am going to pull out, I just got from Ace Beauté. They just recently had a really, really nice sale on their palettes because they said they are going to be reformulating them. So I have been looking at this palette for a minute, and with the discount was like really good, like really good. I don't know if it's like 40, 50, 60%, but however, it was a really, really good sale, and I couldn't pass it up because this palette had been in my head for a while anyway, and this palette absolutely screams fall. This is the Vintage Dawn palette, and this is what's the, you can tell it's really new, I'm still pulling the film. This is what the Vintage Dawn palette looks like. You have your mossy greens, your golds, your oranges, your purples. Really nice sunset look can be made with this palette. A really nice fall look can be made with this palette. I also like this palette because it is a smaller palette. It is only 12 shadows in this palette. Very compact, easy to throw into your bag and go if you want to travel with it. Easy to travel with. You don't get overwhelmed because there's so many shades in it. Which is not going to be said for the last three palettes that I am going to show you. The next one is from Alter Ego, and you know Alter Ego does sort of dupe palettes for higher end, like Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath, those type of palettes. I think even Huda Beauty palette or two. But this one is the Artemis palette, and this one is a dupe for the Metropolis palette. So this would also go for the Metropolis palette. I think the Metropolis palette would be a good fall palette as well. There we go. Once again, your greens, your golds, your oranges, your sort of not burgundy, but this sort of reddish color here, and greens, and I probably already said that, but yeah, I think this palette leans really sort of green heavy. It almost looks like it's green heavy on one side and just kind of warm on the other side, but yeah, still a good palette to use for a fall look. The next palette I am going to show you is a palette from Morphe, and this is Morphe after they sort of changed their formula, and the formula's got a little bit better. This one is the 35M, the Boss Mood palette, and it looks like this, and you can see why. Once again, your oranges, your golds, especially like your mustardy, you have some sort of mustardy colors in here. You have some purples, you have some burgundies, like everything. Why is my thing? There you go. Everything that you would need for a fall look is in this palette. Not, I mean, travel friendly because it kind of snaps closed, but it is a kind of large palette, but still pretty nonetheless. The last one I am going to show you, I also just got from the pop-up boxycharm pop-up, and this palette I don't think has been released on Ace Beauté yet. It was released first on boxycharm, I think, and it's going to be released on Ace Beauté soon. And this is the largest of the palettes that I've ever seen for them, and it is called the Floral Vintage palette. Although your packaging does not look fall at all, it looks very summer. The shades on the inside of this palette to me are very fall. Very fall, very pretty. A little bit closer. There we go. You can see how pretty it is. You have your, and I'm sorry, it's upside down. I'm trying to hide my mirror. You have your, alright, you have your greens, your oranges, some purples, a really pretty gold matte shade right there. Even have some neutrals to put in your crease and everything. I can't wait. Even though I think that this side is looking fall, this side still looks a little summer, but I still think that this is a really pretty palette to use for fall, and I can't wait to dig into it. I don't know if this is going to be their new formula or not, because this is a new palette from them, but we will see. And that is it, you all. Those are 10 palettes from my collection that I think are really appropriate for fall. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you are already subscribed, please make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I have a new video coming out. Have a great day, and may your day be as flawless as your makeup. Bye.